Hey, welcome to the process. My name's Dr. John Bush. This is lesson 161, 2022, strength of schedule, defense against the position, team by team segment. We're looking at 4 teams today: the Jets, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. I have started this, I believe, lesson 155 maybe. Please go back and do that first and then come on up and catch up. This is a continuation of my process. Each team I'll have 3 visual presentations, different ways to look at things, and with that, let's get started. So the Jets, bye week 10, I see that. Their opponents looks like a lot of very tough opponents coming up. Cleveland, Denver, New England, Buffalo, New England, Chicago, and Buffalo. So what are we talking here? 7, and they only get 4 easy games, but 3 of those are in the playoffs. That is quite remarkable. So it's kind of a tale of multiple kind of good and bad, and the good you have to wait later. So I don't know what pieces will be left to potentially use in the playoffs. Just do be aware of that. As far as defenses streaming, the Jets figure for the first 3 weeks to be an interesting kind of secret streaming defense to use there. That's intriguing and might be worth your look-see. In fact, even out to week 5, you've got 4 or 5 weeks. So they figure in the streaming conversation, at least early. Running, there's, the rookie Hall, Carter, who's who, what's what. Looks to me like the first, before the bye, there's only 3 good games. And it looks to me like, 2, 4, 6 bad. So we're talking really tough start for certainly the first couple weeks 1 and 2. So not sure, it'd be interesting to see how the team proceeds if they're getting stopped running, how they will proceed. So just be aware that there's some landmines here. I do note that playoffs wise, and actually coming out of the bye, they actually either one of those running backs or both could actually help you in the playoffs. Look at that. They've got week 11, 13, 15, 16, and 17. Look at that. Nice. Those are all easy games versus a little bit of tough. Quarterback gets week 1 and then gets, look at this. This is crazy. 7, 8, 9, 11. 4 extra tough games. And of course the wide receivers are going to be under the gun as well. Notice week 1, and then it just goes downhill from there. There's a couple weeks. Week 3 is not too bad, but boy, going into their bye and actually coming out, they could be just, it could be really bad. The Jets could really explode. So if they can survive this schedule here, that will be quite interesting here. The tight end does get a little bit of ease here, weeks 1, 3, 5, and 6. But after that, it's tough into the playoffs. So again, it looks like things really take off for the Jets in the playoffs. How does that look? Well, if you plot hard versus easy, you can see the red bars are, and again, the purple line is the average, so anything below is tough, anything above is easy. So you get a hellacious run here, weeks 7 to 12. Oh man, that is 5 insanely tough games here. And again, here's the playoffs. Look at how this season is really tough, and then it clears up at the end. So I just don't know what we're going to see. If we graph that in a trend, we see they don't get their head above water and until, in fact, 15, 16, 17, a little bit week 13. But it is very clear that the Jets are going to be having a very punishing schedule here. Look at that, probably one of the toughest, certainly in the mid section here. Look at that. That just is really rough here. These 5 tough games here. I'm curious to see psychologically how they behave. But again, there may be some surprises for folks that have held on into the playoffs here. So there is a glimmer and an interesting way for trades and other kinds of situations here that might occur. So just kind of, I'm not sure at this point if the Jets are out of everything, will some of the deeper players wake up here and there might be some surprises in the playoffs. Just something to keep your eye on here. It's really nice to kind of visualize the game and seasonal flow. So I think that's interesting. Philadelphia is going to have the first 4 weeks all so easy. Look at that. Weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. They go in the bye week 7. They get 2 games that are tough. Coming out of the bye, week 8 is tough, and then 9 and 10 is easy. Unfortunately, the playoffs are tough. So the rug could be pulled out from under you here if you're relying on the Philadelphia too much. Be aware if you're drafting the Philadelphia crew, there could be some nasty surprises for the playoffs. It's good to see that. Week 1, Philadelphia is all about that defensive streaming here, but then you don't want them again till week 4, and actually weeks 14, 15 is okay as well. So not a lot of Philadelphia defense streaming for us this year. Running, Miles Sanders gets 3 of 4 good games coming out, so he's going to hit the ground running. But his progress hits the wall weeks 5 and 6. The bye gives him some rest up time, and he comes out weeks 8 and 9, not too bad. But then 10, 11, 12, 13, he just gets hammered. So I don't know if, what he's going to do for you late in the season. 14 is okay, but then the playoffs, it explodes, and tough and extra tough. Hurts as well. We're just, he waltzes through the first 4 weeks, gets tough, comes out of the bye tough, but then gets another stretch 9 through 13. So I guess if you're drafting Hurts, be aware that it could get really rough in the playoffs here. So, just kind of see how he behaves. You'll know by this time whether you're going to have to pick up a streamer here at this point. I have drafted Hurts. Okay. This may mean he's going to be running for his life. That can be interesting. The wide receivers, until their bye, they get 5 weeks out of 6. So actually nice wide receivers. So Devonta Smith should really get to have his whatever people call breakout. I don't know if it's breakout. I don't even know what that definition is, but he gets 5 easy games into the bye. Coming out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is the Philadelphia wide receivers are useful. Just be aware, I don't know in the playoffs. Says they've got some opportunities, but look at the quarterback. So I guess one of these questions that I need to do is what happens when the quarterback is being figures tough, but the wide receivers don't. Goddard, they love their tight end, and he gets 1, 2, 3 of 3 for the first 6 weeks. So, and he gets, 9, 11, 12, and then 16. So it's not the easiest. It's not, I guess, the worst, but, be aware if you did draft Goddard, you may need to stream others in between some of those. I just don't know how Hurts is going to deal with these tough games. Is he going to be running for his life and he can't find the tight end? That does concern me. So consider that a little bit. Let's see how the bar graph looks. Pretty much 4 games out of the block. Nice. Hits a rough patch, gets 2 coming out of the bye. Well, actually, week 8's a little tough, but 9 and 10. But look at the playoffs, rut row. So the Jets, they were all about the playoffs, and Philadelphia is all about the hurt in the playoffs. So just be aware that this kind of potential train wreck is coming. I wish it was different, but this is kind of how the schedule stacks up. If you trace out, there's the first 4 games. We drop down, get a little bit of hope in the mid, 9, 10, but then drop down and really don't get a lot going in the playoffs. Certainly it sinks to the lowest part of the season there. So that really concerns me, how Hurts is going to behave during a critical part of our time there. So I do worry about that. And, you might have to pick up, some streamers there. And if Philadelphia's out of it, I don't know what is going to go on. Just that certainly doesn't set well with me. Anytime, somebody I'm dependent on is having a tough break in the playoffs there. Okay. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has 2 easy games, 5 tough. A lot of kind of average, above average, below average. So kind of a ho-hum, but they do have a rough patch from 2 to 5. Week 1 is a good streaming D, against Cincinnati. Burrow might be a little rusty from that surgery, so there may be an advantage there. Pittsburgh could really wake up for you. Look at that, weeks 13 to 17. They could be a viable streaming D late in the season. Keep that in mind. I kind of like that. Okay, running backs. Harris. Harris gets 3 of the first 4 games easy, above average easy. That's nice. Gets 3 tough, goes into the bye easy, comes out tough. In the playoffs, 2 tough versus 1 easy. So it's a little rougher for the playoffs. There is week 16 is a little bit to help you, but things could go bad in week 17 when you really need somebody. Quarterback, Uh, let's see. Week 1's okay. 2 and 3 tough. 5's tough. 7, 8 tough. So really 3 out of the first 8 are pretty easy. The rest are tougher. So I would love it to be flipped if I was investing in the passing game. 11 through 14 is when the quarterback's going to shine. And week 17 is a possibility. The wide receivers, 4 out of 4, the first 8 games. Not bad, but there's some really tough. It could be extremes here. I hate to see extra tough there. But I do like the stretch coming out of the bye. 4 of the 5 games coming out of the bye is easy. So that's good. Playoffs, though, week 17. So 15 and 16, it's going to be some down times for us. The tight end, Fairmouth, he gets 5 good games, 3 tough games. So actually, I could see him picking up some things, some of those weeks. So that is actually pretty good. And coming out of the bye, he gets 5 of the 8. So that's not bad, actually. So that's 10. 10 games. That's Fairmouth. I've been drafting him. I really like that pattern here, and I like 16 and 17. He could win you a championship here. That's, in case you didn't get somebody good. Fairmouth is on the uprise there, on the upswing. So I really like that as well. Interesting. There's some good and bad, when you're reading the strength of schedule tea leaves here, it is kind of interesting. Here's the blocks. 2 super easy games, but a lot of above average easy. So that's not too bad, but you got some straight on 5 tough games. And looks like early in the season. So if they can survive and come out of week 5 with 3 wins, that may not be too bad for Pittsburgh, because they have an opportunity to get 3 more. They could be 6 and 6 and then take 4 games. They could get 10 games this year. So they could slip into the playoffs. That is interesting here. Let's see if you pattern that. Looks like they have nice week 1, drop, come back above average, drop below average, above average again. And then, of course, well, we'll see on week 18. We're not playing. So kind of hanging. Look like about week 5 to about week 16. They're not too far off the average, which is not too bad. I cannot complain about that mid part of the season. You could really collect off of them if you see the data points here. That's 6 good above average games in this stretch, plus this one's real easy. So that's 7. That's not bad. It's not, and then of course week 9 is bye, so you can't count that. So I do like this stretch here. If they can survive these tough games up to week 5, then they have an opportunity to get 7 good games here, and may actually help you out later. They may surprise you. So that's good. So I do have some hope on my Philadelphia players here. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh players. Ooh, I just cursed, right? San Francisco. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4? So kind of not too bad. Kind of ho hum. And defense wise, San Francisco week 1 is a streamer, and week 3, 5, 6 not bad. I'm not streaming them after their bye much at all. So I know people may be drafting them. I think I would get rid of them by week 6 for sure and find somebody else for your streaming. The running backs figure to have an interesting playoff snare. Look at that, 2 of the 3 games. So if you can figure out who's running the show, could be Mitchell. He could deliver for you here. He's just going to survive week 11, 12, 13, 14. So you're going to have to get to the playoffs. And those are 4 tough games for him. And if you look, kind of rough as well, before the bye, only 2 easy. So that, I think he's more useful in the playoffs than some of the other weeks here. Quarterback, I guess Trey Lance, well, we'll see. He has got 4 of the first 5 games are tough. So he will tell us who he is. He is who he's going to be by week 5. We'll have a good clear. And if he can survive, looks like he can collect week 6, 7, 10. Look at this, 14, 15, and 16. So after week 5, looks like there is some hope there for Trey Lance. So not sure I still wouldn't have him or somebody else streaming with him early in the first 5 weeks. Okay, he would be somebody I'd want to have a streamer with. Wide receivers, people talking about Debo, talking about Ayuk. Their first 5 games are tough. They deliver week 16 for you, and a nice stretch 11 through 14. So, Kittle, the first 8 games, he's got 3 good ones, but 5 bad ones. So that's not what I would love to see if I drafted him. But after the bye, he's going to give you, 5 versus 3. So it flips. He's 3 versus 5. After the bye, he's 5 versus 3. So Kittle will come alive on the second half of the season here. So hopefully you stay competitive, and then he can deliver for you in your playoffs. Got 2 of the 3 easy games as well. So it looks like 15 and 17. 17's a critical week, as you know. That's our Super Bowl for playoffs. So Kittle could win you a league. That's nice to see. So I'm really enjoying that. Let's see how that looks with the blocks here. Again, look at this, 13 through 17. Nice. So if you can get to the playoffs with some of these players, I think you can collect nicely here, weeks 13 to 17. So that is good. Again, first 4 of 5 weeks is going to be really rough for Frisco. I get a little respite. So if they can catch 2 of the, if they're 2 of 3, then they could be going into their bye. What is that? If they lose 1, 2, 3, and 4, so they could be even up. Was that 4 and 4? And then they could 5 and 7 down, but they could come back. So they could lead a charge and get to the playoffs, but it's going to be late. So you figure, how does a team get itself together and make that run week 13? So it's going to be really interesting to see how they figure here. And how does that look? About like you would predict. Look kind of a little tough, then it hits average, a little below average, and then this signals the good times at week 13. It's telling you that this is their time to shine. So if you're trading, or some other people become established, that's the time that they're really going to shine about week 13. So if people have gotten down on some of these players, that might be an opportunity to collect them before this nice little run they're going to have. So, I love the roadmaps, and I would suggest you listen to this. I know very few are listening to me. Thank you, those that are. Appreciate it. There's, I'm not doing anything for it. It's just fun to try to help some folks out as a university professor. That's what I've been doing all my life. So this is just kind of who I am. And, trying to show you the way that I'm doing things. It doesn't mean it's the only way, but it's certainly the way that I think works for me. Certainly has put money in my pocket. And so anyway, I think if nothing else, you could use these trend lines. And I know I've said this in the other lessons, just, take a screenshot when you're looking at this and just have those and kind of look at them. Now, I will revamp this after probably about 3 weeks. I'll have to recipher and start deciphering weekly to try to give us a better view based on this year's data. Okay, well, thanks for listening. Come back. We will continue the team by team. I think are we towards the end here? I think I may have one more. Woo woo. Okay, thanks for listening. Coming back.